Peace, everyone. You're on a new episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. Shout out to everyone tuning in right now through our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, HHDG. As always, this is made possible through our company, HHDG Media Inc., which consists of myself, as well as Rock Vader KB, T. Smith, Demare, and Skelly Top. You can go check out our website, as you can see on the bottom banner, hhdgmedia.com, for the latest music, events, our written interviews, and slowly but surely we'll continue to put more and more of our live video interviews on there. But if you miss any of our live interviews, you can always go to our YouTube channel, HHDG Media, which this interview will soon be up there as well. For tonight, we have two returning guests who I feel, and I told them when they dropped this new album, Money Has No Owners, on March 29th of this year, that they definitely pushed themselves and reached a higher level from when they dropped their previous album in 2020. It was a perfect match, during the time of the series that Chong Wizard was running. And from there, they created a great relationship. And I love, what continues to come out from the two of them collectively and individually. Shout out to, the whole Wrecking Crew, $3 Pistol Music, always doing your thing. And they definitely represented on this new album as well. But with this new album, I feel that not just the pen game, but the topics get more detailed, more sincere with this new album. And I would say the word melodic is something that comes to mind listening to Chong Wizard's production on this new album. I mean, we have hip hop albums now where you can call it boom bap and it has that foundation to it. But where are you to still raise that bar and not make it sound like it's still from the 90s? Chong Wizard is doing that, and he's showing his diversity too with it. On this album, we have features from the Wrecking Crew like Curly Castro, Prim Rock on there. Shout out Alaska. We definitely got to talk about Alaska because when I first heard that premiere track on Southern Vanguard Radio, I was like, damn, he's really going in on this. And I know recently he's been getting a lot of love on that verse. So we definitely got to talk about that. But within the time of reaching up to this album, Money Has No Owners, the two of them in 2021 also blessed us with albums on Chong Wizard Records label with Vegas Vic and Blessing Season. Both dropped in the same year, 2021. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well, but we'll stick more with the new album. So without further ado, I definitely appreciate the two of these two talents coming back. Chong Wizard. Peace, peace. Still wondering what's going on. And Zilla Rocca.
What up? My dog is in the crate right now, so the wife is watching, or else it would be a lot of dogs tonight. A lot.
Oh, okay.
A lot of barking. I
It's
feel
all
that.
good.
I feel it.
So good.
Thanks for having
Man,
us,
how y'all
man. This
doing?
is awesome. Thanks for bringing us back on.
Definitely appreciate it. And before we even jump right into it, I didn't get to finish it, but I was listening to the latest Call Out Culture episode talking about the playoffs. I don't get to listen and watch as much sports the way I used to, but I appreciate what we're talking about. Give me more insight.
Ball out culture. Yeah, we did it. You don't have to pay attention much. Sixers and 7 over the Knicks. it's a tough one, but
Oh boy.
nonetheless, you could just get down with the winning team when we go take on the Bucks or Pacers.
So what happened in that last game with the Sixers? Because I saw some drama. People are saying that, like, I don't know, like, I guess they weren't playing good in the first half, and then they squeezed out.
Me and my son we were down 14 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
My son was begging to go home, and then we came back and we won by 1 point. So there you go.
Were you at the game or?
Yeah, I was at the game. Me and my son.
Tight.
Yeah, we were there.
That's tight.
Yeah, we had a blast. I almost fainted literally from it being so loud and us screaming so loud. I was bugging out. I was like, this is dangerous for me to do this. It was wild. It was a great time.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. It was a ball.
Oh man. I got to go for the home team, so I'm still gonna go for the Knicks.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm a Lakers guy, but it ain't been the same since Kobe left. I was never really a LeBron guy, but it's just weird. I don't follow it that much anymore. I'm more of an NFL guy, and I'm on my fantasy football shit, like hard for money and shit. You know what I mean? So
I was watching the Phillies game right before this call. Beat the White Sox 7-0. How you like that? You guys don't follow baseball. White Sox are the worst team in the league, so
yeah.
They're trying to move. They're trying to move the team,
which is amazing because they weren't always bad like that.
No, the new development. They are a disaster. Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't seem right. They got to keep them in Chicago. Chicago White Sox. That just seems like you got to keep them there.
Natural, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so let's get in some hip hop shit.
Let's do it.
Absolutely, definitely. Before we even get to the album, today's the anniversary of Illmatic. How do y'all feel about that?
I never heard that album. Is it good? Do people like it? I was celebrating the 30th anniversary of Shaheem, aka the Rugged Child. That's the day I observed. I don't know. I didn't know Nas came out.
Oh man, of course. I mean, Illmatic, it's an all-time classic, man. I love it. I mean, I remember getting the CD, and I remember we were playing basketball with the boom box, and the fucking ball hit the fucking CD player part, and fucking I think I like chipped fucking the disc, but it's still disc forever. And I'd show people, and it had like the chip in it, and it still somehow worked, man. Like that one got a lot of play.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. I've never listened to it, so if you guys say it's good, I mean, I'll try it out. I don't know.
You're probably an It Was Written guy.
Oh, me and Small Pro forever.
Too young for
Nah, me and Small Pro love It Was Written irrationally more than Illmatic, but Illmatic is obviously the greatest debut album in music history. You know, both things can be true.
Yep. And then today, him and Primo dropped the new track.
Yeah,
which
I fell asleep at the gym playing it. I was like, nah.
Yeah, my opinions were, I said I enjoyed the cuts, I enjoyed the lyrics. Production seemed very, very minimal compared to what Primo has done.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot, you know.
Yeah,
whatever. I hope they make that album 20 years late. They're talking about putting it out finally.
Yeah, because I
haven't heard it, and I did hear that new Primo and Snoop track, and it was also kind of minimal. It sounded alright, though. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but I was like, okay, yeah, it's just cool hearing them together. It was different. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting that from Premier. It was really laid back and chill.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, at the end of the track, Nas was talking about it's time for it's album time. So we'll see what's up next.
I still have my issue of Scratch Magazine with them on the cover, so don't hold your breath. It's from like 05. Still have that one. Still waiting. How do you think now? We got 6 Hit Boy albums, no Premier albums.
Yeah, that explains a lot, right?
Yes.
And I brought this attention to a lot of people. Primo produced the track with Russ that was released last month, and if you listen to that production, and I hate to compare it, but there was more layers to that track. And that track had more of an R&B feel to it because Russ was singing, and there was a key point that I found out the behind the scenes. DJ Premier was doing a little vocals in the background.
Ooh. See, I think if you go to Premiere and challenge him, I think something interesting can happen. If you're just like, just give me a rap beat, you know, you kind of get these run of the like even all the ones he's done for Griselda, like none of them, I don't even remember them. You know, it's more like a clout flex thing now, just to have him versus it being like a song that changes everything or people running or everyone's like no one's rapping on these beats. You know what I mean? No one's jumping on those instrumentals or going crazy with the mixes. So there you go. But you know, he's still top 3 ever. So he's good.
Very true. Yep. So let's talk about 2021. Let's start there first.
Okay.
Vegas Vic and Blessing Season. At the time the two of you were creating these albums, was there any intertwining between the two of those?
No, it was not at all. Chong was, I think after 2020, because Chong, I'm speaking for Chong, even though he's right here. I feel like he was label guy and putting out a ton of product, and now I know what that feels like, so I could understand it. And I was just working on, when we were making on Midnight Suns, I was starting the first Midnight Suns. I was starting Vegas Vic. So when that just happened to come out when Chong was also getting ready to put out Blessing Season, and you could tell from both of those records, like both of them don't sound anything like the first Midnight Suns, which is awesome. So even though we did that, and we did a great job with that record and the features and the artwork and the beats, I performed a few of those songs and people love them. You could already kind of see right away that we did that and then started going, you know, in other places with different styles. So yeah, I'm sorry for telling your part of the story.
Well, it's all good. I don't remember that much about Blessing Season. It's like a continuous work. Like I think a lot of them was being made probably like while we were working on Midnight Suns, just like you said. And with the first Midnight Suns, it was like I think I got so locked into these comic book characters are like dark, occult, like crime fighters at night, and I wanted to have that dark, grimy sound. So I kind of got fixated on that for the first Midnight Sun. So after that, like I think we both were just like, all right, we've done enough dark, grimy shit on this album. So then when he did Vegas Vic and when I did Blessing Season, it was more variety.
Right.
Because I love, like, my first go-to is the soul sample. Like I love chopping up soul samples, and that's primarily what you would hear on Blessing Season. And then on the new album, we gave you all the wide variety of flavors.
Yeah.
And I think with Vegas Vic and some of the other albums that Zilla had been doing in between, I started to learn more about him and like his versatility and realizing that we're both like really versatile with the sounds and flavors, and that we liked a lot of different sounds. And so I just kind of opened up the vault to him. Like, I'm going to just send him all kinds of flavors. I'm not going to like try to pigeonhole him into one sound for this next album. And it was good, you know? So.
Gotcha. Now, Chong Woods, being that you're also running the label, tell us how, the progression's been in your experience now compared to previous years.
Well, it's funny. It's like life. Things are constantly changing, and you're constantly learning, and you have to constantly keep getting better, making better decisions, putting out better product, refining everything, and changing with the game. Like 2018, 2019, 2020. Things were selling like crazy. Even the beginning of 2021, like vinyl, like hip hop underground vinyl for me, like everything I was putting out was selling like crazy, like easy sellouts, like every time. And then the game kind of started to get a little bit oversaturated, and fans were just like having to get more choosy about what they were buying, because people were putting out like so many variants of like every album, like people putting out like 5-10 variants of the same album.
Yeah, I was getting that.
They might buy 10 West Side Gun records of the same album, or like 10 Alchemist records of the same thing, you know what I mean, just because they're completists. And then that eats up a lot of their budget for like other artists, right?
Right.
So it's competitive, right? So you have to make a product on that level with the big dogs, you know what I mean? And like the underground is its own industry, and you have to compete, you know what I mean? Like otherwise your vinyl dollars are going to get spent with another label, another artist, right? So it's gotten difficult too, especially with inflation. I find like after the pandemic, like people really, especially with inflation going crazy, people like super broke. So it's like you have to make something that people want to spend money on. It can't just be like just a good album. It has to be a great album, great artwork, great packaging. You got to present a value, you know, you got to make something worth spending on. And that's one of the things being a label owner, you start to recognize. And it can be stressful too, because, you know, you put out a good album and then it doesn't sell. And you start to question, like, did I make the mistake? Why did this not sell? Because sometimes it happens. You start putting out, like I've put out, like this was the 42nd official album that I put out.
Woo!
I've done more unofficial ones, but it's a lot. So you're going to have some fails. You're going to have some big wins, some big fails. So it's like, you know, you learn and you try to just keep it moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the real big things now is people, they really got to pay attention to how many variants they're putting out, because I think everyone is so stuck on various colors in the OBI strip right now that they're not really paying attention to who's buying what. I mean, it's still a business, so you got to pay attention to the sales, the demographics of where everything's being purchased at as well, and not just have like hundreds of the same copy, in different variants. You still want it to be exclusive so that, you know, that has that staying power with it.
Hell yeah.
And a lot of that stuff is important though, like the colored vinyl and the OB strip. It's all part of the packaging and making it a special product, where like a lot of times fans will say it's not important, like they just want, like they're going to buy the album regardless. That's not always true. Sometimes like I've had guys, like even with this new album, it's black vinyl, no OB strip, but we did something creative and made it look like an 8-ball. So it's still creative packaging. But there's people that might have bought the vinyl, but like, oh, I'll buy the cassette tape, because the cassette tape, we put in more thought and detail into the packaging of making it look like the pack of cards, and then the cassette looking like the playing card. Those are the kind of things that the fans want, because it just makes it a little bit more special, right? So, you know, it's finding that fine line. But there's other artists where, like, depending on the fan base, they don't care. They want it no matter what. You know what I mean? So it depends, project to project. You know, it's hard to predict.
Very true. And I think that is the business standpoint as a label owner, of keep pushing that creativity. And Zilla, you could talk about this too when you drop the mini disc version.
Oh yeah, Career Crooks, Never at Peace. Yeah, at that time, I think that was 2021 or something.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So at the time, I was just like, well, I was like, if everyone, to Chong's point, if everyone's doing vinyl and vinyl's jammed up, you know, CDs and tapes, we've done that. I'm like, what can make a me and Small Pros record special? How could that stand out? You know, so for us, it was just like, I happened to see it. I never had a mini disc. I remember I had like one friend that had that, and he never let anybody touch it or see it. So it was always like a holy grail thing for me. And so I was just like, hey, like, let's just see what happens. Let's press up like 20 or 25. And then that sold out first. So people were excited to have the mini disc, you know, stuff like that when you're thinking about, to Chong's point. And I've learned a lot from Chong over the years, like from a bystander and then as a peer and a friend and a collaborator. It's like, how do you force someone's hand, you know? Because it's like, people really don't have to buy music ever. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. They never have to. Most people don't, you know? So how do we do something to make the record stand out in its own merit, you know, outside of the production and the raps and the features and the looks? It's like, you really want to take it. And because I think Chong and I are really crazy comic book heads, you know what that's like when you walk in that store and you see something, you're like, oh, okay, I just have to have it, you know, doubled up. So let me get this covered, let me get that one, and then like the omnibuses, and then you know, like that's all built into what we do. And I think for this record, we still managed to make it stand out from like having skate decks and having the cassette look like a pack of cards, and then the vinyl tying into an 8-ball without doing the standard, you know, you guys were saying like the Obi strip or like the 5 different variants with the splash, and that's all dope. We've done that too. But I think it's interesting because it's like, for me, it's like I want people to use it. You know what I mean? Like it's cool just to have it and put it on a shelf, but like I want you to play it. You know what I mean? Like the people that bought the mini discs played it. Like you weren't buying it. You were one of them. You know what I mean? Like no one bought that because what the hell are you gonna do with a mini disc? They're real small. So that's my thing. It's like if you buy our record, I want you to play the record. You know, if you don't have a record player and you want to frame it and be cool, that's dope too. But if you buy the skate deck, don't skate on the skate deck. Hang that up. That's actually too fire. I don't want you to break that joint. Yeah. So forget everything I just said with the skate deck. But like Chong got this, you know, the t-shirts, we got the hoodies, and we had the hats the last go around. So it's like people I know that bought that hat the last time wear that hat still 4 years later. Those people rock those hats. So it's important for me, like, to, you know, get utility and value versus like flexing on Instagram once. See, yeah, that's the first wave hoodie you still got. I still wear the first wave hoodies, and I got the new one. So yeah, I've been wearing I was wearing the first one at like kids' birthday parties. You know what I mean? Like
that's what's up, man.
Yeah,
it's true. I mean, with me, if I can't come up with like a good enough concept for the Obi strip to make it something special, then I'm not going to force it, because I've seen too many, like as a fan myself, you see other labels putting stuff out and it's like, that's just kind of like, it's kind of boring. It's the
norm. Yep.
Japanese writing on it. Make it mean something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've learned that's when the fans go nuts for it. They're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like it's actually really a design element. It's not just there. So
yeah, it's that attention to detail. It's the little things. I mean, you don't have to have an abundance of it, but just a few little things.
That's so important. That. Even on this project, I'm looking at it in retrospect, and there's little details where I'm like, you know, like I got to continue to get better. Like you would think that it looks perfect, but I noticed just little things here and then. You're like, oh, I missed that. Because sometimes when you're getting close to the finish line on an album and you're just like, you don't want to keep getting the graphic designer to keep having to do these mundane things, because you're annoying them, and you don't want them to be like, oh, well, I'm gonna have to charge you more for this, because it can start adding up. But sometimes the little, like, pushing that through and being really that eye on the details, it makes a difference. You know what I mean? So I always try to get better at that, every detail, you know.
Definitely. Now let's get on the music side of things with Money Has No Owners. Again, like I was saying in the intro, the two of you definitely pushed each other to new heights with the album. The content, like I was saying, it was mature previously, but it still had that feel good comic style with the first one. And now here, I feel that the two of you are, how would I say this? It's like when you're in a relationship and you know each other better than you did previously.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point. Like, we definitely have gotten to know each other and understand what each of us likes and dislike and what we agree on. And we do like a lot of the same stuff, so that helps it. And I think with this album, it was more of just us, like Chong Wizard and Zilla Rocca, like not us trying to focus on, like on the first album, it was like, let's focus on making this a comic book soundtrack to these characters. On this one, we're like, let's make some music from our hearts and souls and from our lives. You know what I mean? Stuff that people can resonate with. And I think Zilla really wrote some good songs that just touched people, you know what I mean? And just were relatable. Not even like I Never Stay in Touch. It's such a funny song, but it's such a true song. And I played it for people and they just loved it. They laughed and they felt it, you know, especially for, it's a mature album. And it's like, when you get older, it's hard to have time for all your friends and stuff. You know, you're focused on whatever, your family, your job, and then your passion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I that was a great song. And there's tons of stuff on the album that I like that. You know what I mean? Like Zilla really wrote some great songs, and I really respect that about him. Is he's really good at hooks and song concepts, and that's something I value.
Yep.
You know, and he's just incredible at rapping too. So that always helps. But like a lot of other guys can rap their asses off, but a lot of them won't do hooks or won't do good hooks or won't do songs like about actual topics. And I love that he's really good at that. You know what I mean? So
Bounces that well, yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I appreciate that, guys. It's for me, it's like that's the album making process. Like I wish I could be like these like just incredible wind them up dudes that could just rap and crank out 3 to 10 records a year. Like I think that's great. You know, for me, when I make an album, it's gonna take minimum 1 year. Like that's fast. If I could make it in 1 year, that's very quick. So I think this one took a year and a half, 2 years from the first song we wrote until release, which is pretty standard. You know what I mean? Like that's, you have to, I think you need to have that time to have other things happening for things to open up. Because when you're thinking about a record, you're like, okay, there's so many thoughts you have. Like, I don't want to do what I did last time, or I have to do better than the last time, or I have to be better than I was on the last one, or I have to prove to something to people. And when you're making the record, when you get in the flow of it and you stop thinking about that, things just kind of emerge. You know what I mean? So like even a song like Never Stay in Touch, like that was funny to me. I just wrote that down one day in my little notepad, and I was moving out of the city where I lived forever, and it just kind of like popped in my mind. I was like, yo, like one of my buddies lives, I've known this guy since I was 14 years old. He lives 198 yards from me, and I've seen this guy and now I'm about to move. Like, and we talked about it hanging out, you know, we have this 20-year friendship.
Mhm.
And I invested nothing in making that occur, you know. But I'm spending time talking to Chong, and he's in fucking Canada. You know what I mean? Like I spend more time talking to Chong than a guy 180 yards away from me. I know him since 1996. So I thought that was just really funny to do. And when I make those songs and I send them to producers, whoever I'm working with, I'm always like, I don't know if they're gonna like this, bro. Who knows, right? And sometimes they'll be like, that doesn't work. We're like, let's kind of do it again. Or, hey, thumbs up, let's keep it. And I'm like, all right. So if they don't like it, I'll just use it somewhere down the line anyway. Like I'll just reuse it later, because if I like it, I'll do something with it. But that's, I think for this record, we from the beginning decided, to Chong's point, like doing the same thing from the last record, we could just make like 6 to 7, 8 songs. You know, cue up like grimy boom bap loop number 155, please, and I'll just write some hard shit, which is fun. But that it's like, if for us, you know, it's like the comic books again. It's like you have a run you like on a book, and then a new writer takes over. You know what I mean? Like, okay, here's the other thing. Okay, so if you don't like that new writer, you could stick with the old writer. You can go back to those volumes, great. Or you could kind of try out the new person. Maybe you don't like that, but then someone else is going to take over that book in, you know, 8 months or a year. And you try that out because you like the characters or the art, you know what I mean? So it's like, to tie it back with that, I think that's like, if I haven't heard it from anybody, which is great. No one's like, this sucks, bro. What are you doing? Why are you rapping about it? I haven't heard that. The feedback's been actually fantastic. You know, but when you have songs like Men Never Take Advice or Never Stay in Touch or whatever, it's like, you don't know if people are gonna like it or relate to it in any way. And the songs you really don't think people are gonna like, and they do like, or the song's like, oh, this is crazy, this is a banger. No one talks about it. You're like, you never know. You don't know the audience. You know, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. All of that is so true. Like with I think too, like when you give enough time in between albums, you grow as a person and change, and your tastes might change. Like maybe not like everything, but like just, oh, this is what I'm really into at this moment. And,
Right.
and then it feels more like this is what we were doing at this point in our lives, where like sometimes the more prolific guys, it's harder to see the growth and the change, because it's like you get so much from them and it's a slow increments. With us, there's a big gap between albums, so you get like some different vibes and some, you know,
Hell yeah.
You know, we've been through some different life shit. So
Yeah, absolutely. We got a question in the comments, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing their name correctly. Barun Chanda?
Yeah, Baroon. Shouts to Baroon.
Okay. He's saying, how did you guys come up with the overall crafting of the sound aesthetic and sequencing of Midnight Suns 2?
Okay, from the sound aesthetic, I'll chime in at that part. So we, again, from when we started this record, we were like, John was saying, I want to have more soul loops. I want to make something brighter. I was like, hell yeah. So send it over. And that started the process of kind of like relearning each other, because he was opening his stash of, I don't know if you're going to like this. I don't know if these styles fit. I might say to him, like, yo, I want like Slum Village type of beat, you know, but to him, like, what does that mean? Okay, maybe this beat. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that one, but try this. So it's always fun when you work with producers, because oftentimes they'll nail it sometimes, but then they'll send you things you're like, this is whack. There's no way this person will like this. And the rapper will be like, yes. So that happened as well on this record, where it'd be like, he'd send stuff and I'd be like, oh yeah, yes, I'm taking that right away. Other things he'd be like, oh, this is crazy. I'd be like, I don't know, man. This one, I can't do it. I can't think of anything for this. So we went into it deliberately on that wave of, let's pick different sample sources and vibes. And that probably took the longest, was just figuring out what that would be. And then once we kind of hit on it, by the end of the record, we started just kind of nailing it. The last like 3 or 4 songs were pretty easy. Whereas like, I think the first 3 or 4 were the hardest to kind of get off the ground to figure that out. You know, it's because it's like, again, we didn't want to be repetitive. If we wanted to, the album probably would have took 6 months instead of, you know, a year and a half, 2 years. So I don't remember the sequencing part, to be honest with you, but so I'll let you try.
The sequencing part, like, because we had taken so long to make the album, that I had in my mind, like, very roughly, that it felt like there was some like hard songs, hard rap boom bap songs, and then there were some like soulful songs. I kind of wanted to do the A side, B side thing with those. And as we got close to the album, it was like done, but we're like, oh, this is missing like an intro. And so we want to do one last song as the intro. And that took quite a while, because I couldn't find like the right beat and the right samples. And then after one digging session, I found that Old Money 82 sample, and I made that beat. And Zilla was like, I knew it was it when I made it. And even when I found the sample before I made the beat, I knew this was it. And when I sent it to Zilla, he was like, this is it. This is the jump off track. This is the album starter. And so it was pretty easy. The only sequencing problem we had was the album was 45 minutes. And, and a lot of the songs were like 4 or 5 minutes long. And when you're doing vinyl, it's about 22 minutes per side is what you want to do. And so me trying to like squeeze it and make sure that it was balanced so that it wasn't too long on either side. And I think we were originally going to have Men Never Take Advice towards the end of the album, but it was just like this, it was making the B side too long. So I think we just kind of shifted it to the end of the A side. So, but yeah, I mean, the sequencing, it just felt natural to me that way. So that's the science behind it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Shouts to Baroon.
Yeah, shouts to Baroon, man. Appreciate the support. He's over in India. That might have been the first guy that actually
nice
vinyl from India for me, and that was a new one. Like, I think it was even expensive to ship it to him, and I was like, "Fuck it!" Like, I'll cover the few extra bucks to ship it to this guy. Like, he's in India. He's really supporting. He's loving the album. So yeah, shout out to him, man.
That's respect. Shout out to LeBron. Now, I also noticed some drum breaks on there. A lot of people still don't know who this is. J-Zone. Jay Mumford.
Never heard of him.
He was, I mean, obviously, if anyone knows anything about our first album, the first album was like 90% like J-Zone breakbeats, because around the time I was working on it, I got back from Japan with this huge crate of records, and what had showed up in the mail when I was gone was this 45 of J-Zone drum breaks. So I just started sampling those because the first beat I had made was just like a drum break off of some random record. And then I was like, I like this kind of like drummer sound, like having it sound more like a drummer than a programmed drummer. And so the first album really had that feel. And then on the second one, I was like, I didn't want to like 100% use Jay Zone's drum breaks, but like he makes such good drum breaks. And it was also like just part of that vibe of having that live drum sound. So I used on 3 tracks, I used Jay Zone drum breaks. Because he's just incredible. I used him on Tough Guys Fill a Cemetery.
Yep.
It's just crazy. He's going off on the drums on that one. And joint with Prem Rock, Ignore the Red Flags. That's a Jay Zone break.
I didn't even know that.
Men Never Take Advice. That's the other one. That's Jay Zone as well.
Oh,
that was the first song we did, so that one was still when we kind of weren't sure where we were going to go with the album, and so that and Men Never Take Advice, and I think all 3 of those were like the first 3 tracks that we did. So it definitely has a connection to the first album with the Jay Zone drum breaks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Zone. I used some other drum breaks on the album too. AJ Hall, I used one of his drum breaks. He's another guy that's a drummer that's doing stuff. And other than that, I just used some drum breaks off of just old records. And then I did some programming on that one too. More programmed drums on this one.
Gotcha. Yeah. I gotta say, seeing Jay Zone going from the MCing and production to being truly dedicated and showing how you can really hone in on your skills in a completely different arena like that, it is great because I've seen him DJ and perform in person, and then to seeing the drum work that he's doing now is amazing.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I've loved Zone since I was like 18 years old, buying music for Tu Madre. And I actually got to hang out with him in New York probably 10 years ago to show. And so to rap on his breaks is cool as shit.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see him commit to changing his career, but also still being in music and just being dedicated because he was tired of rap, tired of the rap scene, tired of the fans, tired of performing it, and he was maturing and growing out of it. So I love that he's followed that career path. And like Zilla said, I've been a fan forever. I used to have I'm trying to remember the name of the record. It was the one that was like purple with the 40 ounce on
Bottle of Whoop-Ass, or
I had that one on vinyl. It was tight. I loved that one. Man.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the shit. I think I got the music for Tu Madre CD for Christmas. I made my stepdad order it from like Fat Beats Online. I don't even remember. It was like 2000. It was crazy.
That's how it was back then. You had to get your parents. I think in '98, I was having my parents order me like Sound Bombing or Company Flow off like fucking Upstairs Records or wherever, like whatever the websites were. You know what I mean?
Dude, I had my dad. I used my dad's credit card to buy Planet Asia's EP from hiphopsite.com. And then they called my dad because they were like, "Sir, we sold out." And he was like, all right, I don't know. They were like, "Yeah, he's hot right now. Planet Asia is really hot. We're sorry, we can't keep it in stock."
Oh man,
my dad's at work. He's like, "Okay, man." He just hangs up.
Oh man,
this is great.
That's a good EP. I had that on vinyl.
Yeah.
Later on, though, I think I got that later on. But yeah,
my shit on there. What my favorite song was the Moonlight Melodic Rush or whatever that song's called, Midnight Melodic Rush or something.
I can't remember it.
I love that. Like that era of Planet Asia, like Place of Birth and all that. The Professional. Oof. Love that shit. Shouts to Planet. He's still crazy too. He's
I got that.
Yeah.
I did that track with him on that album was supposed to come out on my label. What was it? Medallions Monarchy, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That was supposed to come out on my label. Shouts to Planet Asia, man. Yeah. I saw Cali Agents perform in San Fran in 2000. Dope, man. Big showcase. It was called the New Groove Alliance Showcase.
Oh God, I remember New Groove.
I had never even heard of Zion I, and I was there, and they performed and blew my mind. I was like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
Yeah, rest in peace, Zumba, man. Zombie was so
Yeah.
dope.
R.I.P. Man, he was amazing performer, man. Like just spiritual on stage. It was crazy, man. There was like Cool Keith was like headlining. I think AC Alone and Abstract Rude were there. I think even Mike and Nine and Peace came out and like busted freestyles,
Oh,
like
yeah,
sets.
that works.
It was crazy. MC Juice was there. It was like a crazy underground
wow.
show, man. Like Masterminds were there.
Masterminds with Spitter. Oh my god. Oh my. That is the
Crazy.
most backpack event
That was
in the world
Has to be it.
in history.
I filmed that shit, man. Like I got old mini HD.
Wow.
That was on. I did a hip hop documentary back in the day because when I was in Cali in '99, 2000, I was all over all the underground independent shit. I filmed so much shit, sneaking my camera into shows, pretending.
We got to pull that back out, bro. We got to go to Netflix.
I gotta send you guys copies of those. I might
Yeah, I gotta see that.
I need to
Yeah.
get the original footage though, because like the documentary was dope, but like I didn't like how I edited it because I was young when I made that shit.
Yeah.
But man, I got some amazing footage. I hope those old mini DV tapes are still not destroyed or whatever.
We're gonna put our next albums on DV tape only.
mini DV.
Mini
$850 one copy.
Oh man.
Let's talk about Dan Evans' artwork.
Dan Evans, he's that guy, man. He's so reliable and versatile. He's got his own style, but he can you can really just tell him any idea you have, and he's gonna execute it. Like he's gonna kill it. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes with certain albums, I'll have to think like, is this artwork in this artist's skill set? Can they do this? But with Dan Evans, it's like this motherfucker can do anything. So like he's killed it.
True.
I had him when I did the last mixtape, the Star Wars unit. He did that, and that was kind of like my first. That was me coming back from like a long hiatus of not doing anything because I just was frustrated when the mixtape game died back in the day, and I didn't know what to do. Like it was just like I don't know what to do, and I just took some time off, got my life together, and when I came back, I think Trap Toys was popping off, and I think that's how I found Dan Evans. He designed a lot of the packaging for the Trap Toys. They do all those crazy like hip hop toys. They're really dope. So shouts to Dan Evans, man. He's so talented. He does mad like art for like The Ringer and just lots of like soccer stuff because he's out in the UK. So
Shouts to them.
You're muted, Ian.
Yep, there you go. Tell us where the billiards part came into play with the artwork and the vinyl as well, the 8-ball.
Well, I had made this beat. It was the Ignore the Red Flags beat, and when I sent it to Zilla, I usually don't even say like anything about like what I'm feeling about the beat or anything. I'll just send the beats. But on that one, I was like, this one kind of feels like some Pool Hustler, like the movie The Hustler, like some dusty jazz bar pool hall shit. And little did I know, Zilla Rocca was mad into pool. I'll let him take over.
Yeah, my uncle was like one of the most well-known pool hall hustlers in South Philly. So there's to be a spot called Willie Mosconi's Billiards, and he used to hustle people there all the time, and he used to be on like local news. He had like my uncle had the first tattoo I ever seen. He had like a little devil on top of a 9-ball. His basement, a full pool table, everything. And he used to take me when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and he used to just put me on the pool table and like shoot balls like over, like do all these trick shots with me laying on the pool table. He could do all this shit.
Wow.
So I've been going to pool halls since I was like 4 or 5 years old. And then when I got a little older, I would get my little money. I would go to pool hall. Me and my friend. I talk about him on the last song, Pool Hall, where I say me and Rudy, my Filipino homie. He always had to look on grunge tapes and dirty movies. So we used to go to Pool Hall, play Street Fighter 2, wait for a table to open, play 2 or 3 games, go back to his house, listen to the Breeders or Nirvana or like Ween, and then watch like Basic Instinct. You know what I mean? Like, or like Golgo 13 or like Fist of the North Star. Just like crazy shit. We just were like doing wild shit at his house. But we would always like first. He lived down the street from a pool hall, so we would hit the pool hall first. And then when I was in my 20s, I'll go clubbing, go to bars, and there was like an after hours pool hall in a spot called 69th Street. So me and my buddy would go. The best spot was you could just bring beer, so we would just leave the bar, hit like a little spot, get a 6-pack, and then walk up to the pool hall. It was like an upstairs spot. So if you didn't know about it, you didn't know. But so we just post up there. So, but I haven't really. The last time, but I just got done playing pool in Ireland with my family, with my kid. And I was like, I'm kicking his ass at pool, and he's really upset. Like he's really mad with me because the hotel had one, and we would go different places, and he gets really upset with me. So I kind of like let him win a little bit, then I come back and smoke him at the end. But I'm like, that's not fair. How do you know how to do that? And I'm like, well, hit the ball here. It's all angles, dude. Just like watch the color of money. Just watch the color of money, bro. It's all the angles. Scorsese shows you. It's all geometry, bro. Come on, he can't.
I think, like Zilla said, like you haven't played in a long time. I hadn't played in a long time either because I played growing up because my parents had like the pool table in the basement at the house, and so we kind of the hangout when we were teenagers. A lot of my friends before we could go to bars and shit. My parents didn't care if we drank or anything, so like we'd just be downstairs in the basement drinking, playing pool and shit. Then after we got old enough to go to the bars, there was a bar in our town that had mad pool tables, so we'd play pool a lot. But I think it was part of the nostalgia. This album really had like a nostalgic feel to it, and I think pool is it feels like a nostalgic thing. I know people still play it, but for me, like it brings me back to the 90s for sure, and the late 90s, early 2000s. And then, like he mentioned, The Color of Money. That's where the album cover inspiration from was the movie poster for The Money of Color was this. So it happened to work out because I originally wanted to do something with The Hustler, and it wasn't a very like exciting poster or movie cover because it was like old and black and white and just simple. So with this, it was more colorful. And then and by the time I think I'd come up with that, we already had the album title, Money Has No Owners. So like The Color of Money, Money Has No Owners. It really kind of tied it together. So boom, Money Has No Owners. Vinyl's going quick, guys. A couple more sold today. I think we're down to 29 left.
That's it. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
Yep. Yeah, I've been a fan of billiards for a long time. Then my father and my uncle also played, and I played in a league when I was younger. But during college, this book right here really taught me about angles.
Oh, that's crazy.
To a really good degree.
Yo, that's crazy. I like that.
That's dope that you're into it like that, Ian. I love it. Love it. I wish I had still played. Like, I think I haven't played in like maybe a decade, man. I need to get out there. I need to play. It's just fun, It's fun to play.
Yeah. That's why when I watch some of these professionals that like what's his name, Efren Reyes, who's amazing. I think he's one of the top players I've ever seen in billiards. And like Zilla was saying,
Philippines, you know what I mean? Like, and it's funny how you mentioned Filipino homie in the song.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for cutting you off.
That's all right. I was just saying, it's just once you realize it's all about the angles and you actually visualize that line of sight with the angles, it just becomes so much easier.
Oh, definitely.
It's all about the angles. You got to work the angles.
Yeah.
Sharp and precise.
Shout out to dilated pupils.
You better think twice.
Man, shout out to Rocca, dilated people's Rocca Art of Science, man. That guy fucking showed me mad love back in the day. He was cool, man. Shout out to Evidence and Babu, they were cool too. But whenever Dilated came to town, after I met them, Rocca would always reach out and be like, "I got tickets for you." Reach out to him. So that I always felt that, like, if you come to my town and you reach out to me, it's like I gotta go now, and
Yep.
it's an honor and an obligation. You know what I mean? So shout out to Rocca.
That's fire. You spoke about the artwork, the drums as well. I know you have some more talented people on there. Evan Jacobson with the saxophone.
Yeah.
Not the last track, the next to last track, Terrible Twos.
Yeah.
Yep.
That track was pretty much done. And then I was just like, it felt like a jazz lounge song to me. And I was like, I need a saxophone on this because it's got that jazz lounge singer vibe to it. Kind of like, you know, like it felt like you kind of drunk and like down on your luck kind of thing. And it just saxophone has that kind of like vibe. And so I saw him I had seen him on social media doing this kind of thing that went viral where he was playing sax solos on songs that didn't need solos or whatever. And he did one on Biggie's Big Papa, and it was just so fresh. And I was like, this guy's dope. And so I started following him. And then later on, when I was like, I need this, hollered at him, and boom, he laced it up quite lovely. He did a lot of flavors. We did a lot of versions where I was like sending Zilla like versions of it, and we had to keep trimming it down. I was even sending him to Evan Jacobson, and he was like, it's too much. You got to like pull it back a bit, because like he had so many different flavors the whole way through the song. So I had to make it a little bit more sparse, and it all came together. And shout out to Addie Meyerson. She's the bassist on 3 tracks on the album. She's on Terrible Twos, and she also just killed it. I found her through the Backwoods connection. Like I think Prem Rock or Fielded were shouting her out years ago, and I was like, follow, and just put it in the mental Rolodex. Like, if I need that bass player, sure enough, it came through. And you never know, like with musicians, what they're going to give you, and she just killed it. You know what I mean? And she would always give me like 3 versions, like you know, and it was just like you can pick and choose or like chop little pieces and then kind of like fit it together. So it's great working with both of those live musicians. I love bringing in live musicians when it makes sense. And I felt like on the songs that we had them on, it worked perfectly. So shout out to Evan Jacobson and Addie Meyerson.
Yeah, shouts to them.
You're muted again, Ian.
I said, I'm sorry. Continue on with that track. We got to talk about Andrew, who Zilla, you put me on to him.
Yeah. Andrew is just, it's funny. Me and Disco Vietnam, we're starting the mixing and mastering my next solo album called Fast Eddie, and Andrew basically took that album to the finish line. He came by maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. We hung out all day, and he helped us knock out 3-4 songs. And Andrew's just like a shot in the arm, man. He's just unbelievably hardworking, really inspiring. Same thing. Like he produces everything, he writes everything, he does hooks, he produces for other people, he does artwork. Like he just did the cover for the new Marcus Pin record I'm putting out, Night Music. So when he's not working and skating and playing hockey and rapping and producing and doing art, like I don't know what else he's freaking doing. But he's just a real workhorse, and he's such a great person. And I'm really, really lucky to have come across, his talents. We actually did a show with him like right before COVID, because he did a set with I Alive and Darko the Super, and then he put out an album I was interested in, and then ever since then, like 2021 or so, we just put out a record together, and I put out a bunch of his stuff. So to me, he's like, him and Rich Jones were always guys I always want to pull on the stuff, because I just think they're really, really special in this environment, because they just do things none of these guys really can do. They're really relatable and really creative and really, really like powerfully awesome guys. Like they're very, very stand-up people, and they're also very, very melodic, and they work hard. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'll do the hook. 8 months goes by. Dude, where's the hook? He'll be like, oh, you sent it to him at 2:00, 10:00. Here's the hook. or here's the verse, done. Rich is the same way too. So I'm excited to, you know, put their records out. I'm excited to work with them on my records or do whatever, just because I think they just really stand, like they just do things I can't, you know, and I love just giving the floor to people to do that, to kind of take over songs, you know what I mean? Be like, okay, it's my record, it's my concept, but like I'm inviting you here to just, you know, to just stunt, like wipe me off the record, bro. I'm totally into that. So yeah, I'm happy that he's catching on more and more.
Yeah, man. And shout to Zilla for getting behind Andrew and really helping boost his signal, because I wouldn't have known of him either, and I've just grown to love him and his music. Like he's a great guy, and like his hook game is just so strong, man. Like, because you know there's so many great rappers out there. Almost, you know, you could find anybody to spit a dope verse, but choruses, like especially singing choruses without it being corny, like he always seems to find something that works. And like Terrible Too is like he started that off for us. I think Zilla sent him the beat, like just do your thing, and he you know, he made that song what it was. Shout out to him. And then Zilla came on with like a real dope verse right off of him. And then we were sitting there and I was like, I think a lot of time had passed, because before we started getting a lot of the final features, and Sleeping Dogs thing had come out, and I was like, oh shit, like I love these guys. Jesse's fucking dope too. He sounds great with Andrew. Let's get him on the track. And so it became like the Sleeping Dogs Midnight Suns collabo.
Hell yeah.
I was talking to them like about like it would be dope to do a whole like EP of Midnight Suns, Sleeping Dogs, but it's one of those things where it's like it's so hard to like trying to split up the money 4 ways. It's hard ways to split money, or you know what I mean. So we're gonna keep collaborating with those guys. I was just talking to Jesse. Me and him are getting the ideas together for the packaging for his album, Not Fade Away.
Such
He
a great
put it out
record.
a few months ago. It's a really great record, completely produced by Andrew. It's basically a Sleeping Dogs record, but it's mostly just Jesse rapping.
Yeah.
It's a dope record. We got some really ill packaging ideas that we're going through right now, so we're excited about that. That's probably the next drop on Chong Wizard Records.
And then Sleeping Dogs are playing Sunday in Philly. I'll be there. Prem Rock will be there, just hanging out. We're kicking it. So supporting those dudes. And the best part is it's a 6 p.m. show on a Sunday. I'm like, yes. 6 p.m. I'm there. It means I'm out of there by 9 o'clock. Out the door.
That's kind of like Gangrene's album release party tonight. It was supposed to be 6 to 10.
Yeah.
So I got out of work a little bit early, took the train 3 stops, you know, went to see how it was a little bit, and then hopped back on the train to come, you know,
awesome.
Get ready for the interview.
That's the best. There's no worse hell on the planet than going to a rap show. There's 7 openers. The main person doesn't go until 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Yep.
And then after that, there's like 4 more people that also do 10 minutes because they're on a flyer. You're like, oh my God, please don't do this to me.
Oh,
the worst shows in the world.
I think that like even a lot of the shows that I've been to, I haven't been to a lot, but like lately I've been noticing that a lot of them are like done by like 11 or 12 nowadays. Like they're not doing the like headliner going on at midnight shit anymore. You know what I mean? That's so standard. Like they'd be like, no, I'm not going on till like midnight. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't even show up to the place until like 11, because if you showed up at 10, nothing was going on. It was just fucking like openers and like barely anyone there. So like it's cool to see getting a bit more reasonable as we get older, because I don't want to be up till 2 a.m. Like
no.
I do notice some venues actually double booked too now. They'll have a completely different genre, like an hour after the other one's supposed to end. So you see like the crowd looks a little different when it starts to shift. And you're like, what's going on?
Yo, I've gone into venues for a rap show and it's like mad emo dudes walking out. I'm like, what the frick is this? Then I'll be like, oh, I guess they're drawing a different crowd these days. All right. But then I realized they just wrapped up another emo show early, and then the rap shows at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
Yep.
That's
being that we're talking about features, we already mentioned Andrew. Let's start. Let's rewind a little bit and go back to Tough Guys Fill a Cemetery.
Blue, her favorite color. Yeah, when we did that song, that was one of the earlier songs, like we said, J Zone beat. I was like, my whole I remember vividly, I was like walking around my old neighborhood at night, like writing that in my head. That's how I used to be able to write when I lived in the city. I would just go for walks and just write in my head, and then do the voice recorder thing. And so my whole thing with that beat, I was like, I want this to be like a Raekwon verse, where I'm just like rapping downhill, like everything just flows. There's not a lot of pauses or breaks or anything like that. It's more like just keep going. And so the verse is real long because I was like, I don't care. I'm just Raekwon this out. And then when we had it, I had the title, and I was like, okay, who should we get on this? Like, that was a tricky part for the longest time. And we were thinking about names, and then all of a sudden, like, I thought of Blue. I was like, oh, man, the beat reminded me of the Ronald Morgan joint from New York with Edon. And I was like, yo, no one gets Blue on like these really hard drums. Everyone kind of gets Below the Heavens Blue, or like OK Player Blue. You know what I mean? Like, not. And he's done so many styles, like grimy joints, West Coast joints, trunk rattling joints. So I was like, yo, we should get him on this one. And Chong was like, I don't know, man. And I was like, yo, just listen to Ronald Morgan. Just listen to that song. I think he would fit. It's a similar style. And then so Chong got at him, and he was with it. Like, he did that quick. He went nuts on it. He kept it real straightforward, like West Coast G'd up. And I was like, man, this is cool. And so I like that he took it seriously, and because he could have been like, nah, man, like, this beat sucks, or like, nah, I'm not in that headspace. But he got the assignment and went to town on it. So shouts to him. Yeah, like, he's like, the more preeminent name on the record. But I don't think our success like hinges on Blue. But I like the fact that what he contributed fits what everyone else is contributing. You know what I mean? It's not like a skip. You're like, all right, here comes Blue, skip. Or like, he's kind of mailing it in here. He's rhyming hard. Like, I really like what he brought to the table. So shouts to Blue.
Yeah, I agree with everything Zilla said there. Blue just killed it, I didn't think about that, and we did that on a lot of tracks where Zilla would be like, no, let's put this guy on this beat, and I was like, I wasn't thinking in that headspace, but it makes sense because who wants to hear somebody on something that they've already heard them on a million times? So it does make sense to like push artists to do different things, and it's awesome when they kill it. You know what I mean? So shouts to Blue, he came through for us. Love Zilla's verse on that one too. I felt like Zilla's just really fucking came with it on that one, and Blue had to fucking bring that level of intensity. So that was a good track, man.
Yeah, I love it.
That was the like, let's flex the skills, let's bar the fuck out on this one. So
yeah,
you can't leave yourself out, Chong, with the cuts on there.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it was one of that. Is that energy? I had to bring the energy because we didn't have any chorus on it, so I was like, I gotta like put the exclamation point on the end, just that little extra energy, and that's that Cardinal Official sample. That's recorded straight at my house. Him on the mic when he was hosting Bad Man Business when I did the Cardinal Official mixtape. He hosted it at my house, and like him on the mic, like when I started recording the hosting, immediately I had to turn down the mic because he's got like a built-in amplifier in his.
That's Castro.
He was like he is a performer, man. That guy's got an amazing voice. So like it was cool, just like when I heard the Tough Guys line and that was the name of the song when Zilla sent the song back, Tough Guys Fill a Cemetery. So I was like, I gotta find something that says, and let's go tough guy is one of his signature things. So if you've been in Canada and you've seen Cardinal enough, you know that that's Cardinal. Let's go tough guy. That's one of his phrases. You know what I mean? You know how rappers have like phrases and sayings and shit. That's one of his signature '90s.
I thought that was like the Youngsters or something. You know what I mean? I didn't know who that. No clue.
That was Cardinal. Shout out to Cardi.
He's the best. Yeah, I love Cardinal. He's so nice. Cardinal.
in the third track, which was that was the second single, if I remember correctly.
No, that was the first signal.
First, I'm sorry, the first, and then the other one, the blue, was a
Marathon.
right, yeah.
Marathon Man.
Marathon Man, you running out of breath in.
Yeah, that song, I literally just came home I had the whole house to myself for like a whole night. And Marathon, I just put on TV, Marathon Man was on. I was like, this is my shit. And then I was like, yo, I'm just gonna drink a lot of alcohol fast and then just rap. And like I don't have those opportunities as much. But when I can do that, it'll be something like really more powerful because I don't care. And I'm throwing like a lot of shots in there, just like people that piss me off on the internet, like people with suspect ears and like sampling just like YouTube bullshit loops and just like being an asshole on that record.
Mhm.
And then once I had it, I was like, all right, let me get Midas, because I love the records he put out with Chong, and I loved, you know, just having him on our podcast, and I just thought he was nasty. I was like, yo, we had a good rapport. I'm like, I've never really got him on anything. And I wanted us to have a lot of synergy between like Chong Wizard Records, Wrecking Crew, $3 Pistol. Like I thought it would be cool to have a common language for the most of the record. So he got on, and then he slaughtered that. And then I went to Castro and I said, yo, you have two options to be on this record. I sent him that, and I think I sent him Joe Claire, and he picked Marathon Man. Because I sent Castro Joe Claire because he's good with slow beats. Because Castro got that voice. Talk about like having a fucking amplifier in his that's Castro too. Like that's Cardinal, and it makes sense why Castro loves Cardinal, because Castro is ungodly loud everywhere. So I thought he was going to pick Joe Claire, and he was like, "No, I'm taking this one. I'm going to come in after Midas." I was like, all right. So his verse is all this like crazy X-Men shit and fucking just like a standard ill Castro verse. So I thought it was dope. It was like three very divergent styles. And you know, we've all, you know, Castro's been on Chong's production in the past, and then Midas has been on label. So I thought it was just like a home run. It just made a lot of sense for us to do it, you know. And then Chong had the artwork for the single, which is real ill, based off the Marathon Man poster. Again, like this is, I said it on our pod, like more people need to hire Chong just for art direction, honestly. Like it's really fucking I feel great because I could just, you know, utilize it for free. It's great for me. I love it. But these other people, like their shit is struggling. Like they're all just, you know what I mean? Like just pay them, just call them up. You know what I mean? Hit them with a DM. Just do it. Don't be a low rent asshole your whole life.
Yeah, man. That's the thing, is I told Zilla, like, I would do it happily, and I've had people approach me, but it's just at the end of the day, like, people are broke. People can't afford to pay like someone. It's crazy because you want your product to be next level, but you can't pay someone to help you take it there. You'd rather just pay the artist. A lot of times these artists, they're just gonna do whatever like you tell them to do or what comes to mind. A lot of people aren't going through that thought process of being able to put in the conceptual thoughts to it, you know. And with this album, what was lucky about when it's my project is I'm thinking about it for like the year and a half, 2 years that we're working on this. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly thinking of like, it might not all come to me at once, but like certain things, whether it's in the lyrics or whatever, the song titles, things start to fucking all come together. And, you know, so when you see a Midnight Suns record or a Chong Wizard Records album, it means I've been thinking about the fucking conceptuality of the artwork for a long time. And so that's why this shit really pops.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, a lot of guys, they're just going to bite my ideas instead of paying me. It's just the nature of the game. And until I get to a certain level, like, and even then, like if I get to a certain level, I might not want to be selling my ideas to people. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is though, man. Marathon, that's dope. The funny thing is, like, I didn't even know that was a movie. And Zilla didn't even tell me. I just happened to stumble upon it like months later, maybe a year later.
Dustin Hoffman, boy, come on.
We were working on the album for so long that like I just fucking stumbled upon it on like Amazon or something, and I was like, oh shit, like this is where he got the name. And then I watched it and I was like, this movie's fucking crazy, man. Those 7 movies, they're wild.
Yeah.
Best shit,
There's
dude.
some crazy torture where they're trying to rip his teeth out with some German.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's that post-Vietnam shit. Everyone was just paranoid and angry.
yeah.
That's what 70s got the best movies, bro. It's a lot of angst.
Oh man,
That's why we did on the last album, the song Coppola is all movie titles from the 70s.
love that
That's
too.
the shit I would be on.
That's another connector. We love movies. Fucking, we love books, comic books. We love.
I was just watching the Criterion channel like right before we hopped on. I pay for
There
that
you
shit.
go,
It's the
yeah.
best. It's the best.
I need to get that because
It's the
there's a lot
greatest,
of
dude.
movies on that I want to see.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that track was crazy. Back when my mother's played Scatman Carruthers, like that fucking.
Yo, his teeth and
line
Beast was
stuck in
being
my-
Batman and Brothers. I love that.
That line just gets stuck in my head, man. Shout out to Midas the Beast, man. He truly is a beast on the mic, man. Living up to the name.
He's like I'm yay on Telethos. Oh my
tight,
god,
man. That's
I
tight,
love
man.
that, dude.
And shout out to Zilla because the scratches on that one. Every once in a while, we'll do a song and Zilla will record mouth scratches, like when he sends the original. Like, this is the phrase that I want you to scratch.
Yeah.
So then I find that Mob Deep sample and fucking scratch it in, and it worked out perfectly. You know what I mean? So shout out to Zilla. He really was the mastermind behind that track.
Yeah, man. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I was my Prodigy bag. I was very drunk, and I was like feeling like keep it thorough Prodigy. I was like, man, these people can't fuck with me. You kidding me? Listen to your bullshit beats, man. Pay an engineer. You can't even rap. I was just being an asshole. I'm usually not that kind of guy.
Oh man, nice, man.
Oh,
Speaking of Prodigy, I don't want to go too much into it, but if you ever get the chance, listen to his daughter's production, Santana
Ooh.
Fox.
She makes beats. I know. I thought she rap. I think I listened to some of her joints.
think
Like
I heard
Alchemist.
She rhymes. She paints. She's very multi-talented. But
That's fire.
what she did last year was she completely spent the entire year of working on her production skills. And her new album came out, I believe it's last month, called Eye Candy. And
Okay.
she did all the production on it.
That's fire.
tight.
That is awesome. Yeah, because Prodigy was the one producing early on with Mobb Deep, and then Havoc learned, but it was originally P.
I didn't even know that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's tight. I was
That's
just
awesome.
listening to The Infamous the other day. Just love that album. When it first came out, I had taped that tape. It was in the Walkman endlessly. And that shit was
Hold on, Sam. See if I can find this.
that shit was an important album, man. Rest in peace, Prodigy. Shout out to Havoc.
Rest in peace, Mr. C, the best. of
Oh
Mobb Deep.
yeah.
Peace,
sad.
Mr. C.
This is my most played Mobb Deep ever, and I love Hell on Earth more than anything. But yeah, you got Tape Kings. This was everything.
Yeah, shout out to
Rest
Tape
in
Kings,
peace.
man. Oof. I
Rest in
remember
peace.
those days.
Yeah, this was.
Yeah, I missed out on all that. You guys were lucky being like
Oh.
in the East Coast back in those days. Because I would be lucky to get like a mixtape from a Vancouver DJ in high school because fucking I was just isolated out in this small hippie town, just smoking weed out in the mountains. You know what I mean? It's a miracle that I even fucking got into hip hop. You know what I mean? So
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're here. You escaped.
Yeah.
definitely did.
I think the next track that came, track 4, New Boss with AJ Suede. I feel that this was where the shift in the production was getting a little more melodic, and the BPMs kind of slowed down right after this track.
Yeah. That one was like a kind of if you don't like that beat, I don't think you're gonna like the rest of the album. You know what I mean? It's very much like a line in the sand. Like we arranged the record to be like, okay, we start off with things that are like a variation or continuation of the first record, and then it kind of, once you hit New Boss, it kind of kicks into like, okay, now here's the next thing we're gonna do. So we ease people in, and then once New Boss hits, it's over. You know what I mean? And same thing. Shouts to Suede. He's an awesome dude. I had him on Merv Griffin Enterprises remix. Me, him, and Prem Rock, and then he had me on a couple joints for him and Small Pros Records. And same thing. Workhorse fast turnaround, really professional, very serious dude. Really loves this shit. You know, is invested for the right reasons, and very approachable. You know, I was excited, man. Same thing. Like he put out records with Chong, and he worked with Small Pro, and Prem put him on Low Bearing Crow's Feet, and they've done shows with him. So I've yet to meet him, but you know, everyone around always speaks highly of him when they speak with him and hang out. So I didn't think he would want that beat to be on it. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. We were like, see what he says. And Chong hit him up, and he was in. I think he turned that around real fast, you know. So,
oh yeah, he just killed it. And I asked him, I'm like, I kind of wanted him on Joe Claire, and he's like, whatever you guys want. And I'm like, Zilla wants this. He's like, I'm doing that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because you know what it is. It's like I think if more people would get him on Joe Claire than they would get him on New Boss. You know what I mean?
But again, I'm glad you put him on that because it's different. You know what I mean? It gets him flowing up tempo, but just like still just like that. His flow is still like just so smooth even at that tempo, which is crazy because usually if you take a guy who's like used to rapping kind of slow, you would think that it might get a little janky when you're on the fast beats, but not as smooth as ever. He was
going out.
Glided on that one. And
yeah,
that one, it's funny, even though it was different from the first album, it reminded me a little bit of the last song on the first album.
Yeah, Lucky Break.
Like, they're both also hip-hop, you know what I mean?
Call. Yeah,
traditional hip-hop tracks.
Yeah. And Suede was in the video when he was a little kid, and the Red Man, I'll Be That, he's in that video.
Really?
Yeah, and
I gotta go watch that.
Yeah, he's in it, and he's the logo for Def Squad with the little kid.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Yeah,
he's incredible. He was born into this world.
Exactly, he was born into this.
There's no choice.
Shout out to Def Squad. I was listening to that Keith Murray fucking Most Beautifulest Thing album yesterday on repeat, and man, I was just thinking about him because I had seen that video, that Heartbreak.
Oh man.
And but somebody said that that's an old video and that he's doing better now, and that
I just did a show with him like 2 years ago. It was great.
Shout out to Keith Murray. Shout out to AJ Suede, man. Born into this shit. Def Squad logo. And he slid on that shit.
Yeah.
A funny thing too with that one is it's lucky it even got made because at a certain point I was kind of stumped on the beats for Zilla, and I sent him this big pack, which I usually don't do. I usually send him like 1 or 2 beats at a time, and I send him a pack of 50 of just like random beat sketches, stuff that I thought was dope but wasn't finished or polished. And that one was on there, and I was like, I don't know what else to do that beat. He's like, it doesn't need anything else. This is perfect. And he just killed it. And I was just like, damn, this is an anthem. And it kind of reminded me of like, sometimes you don't have to do it too much. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times I forget when I'm making the beat. Sometimes you got to just leave room for the rapping. And even listening to that Keith Murray album, I was like, a lot of those joints were like that, very much
drum loops,
with very like light background, like melodic stuff. And it was just him just rapping, just killing it on bass and drums. And I was like, damn, like
that's it.
Sometimes the old 90s shit, that's all you needed. You didn't need to fucking chop up samples too hard and have too much stuff going on. You know, sometimes it's just simple, and that joint just fucking turned out perfect. You know,
hell yeah,
hip hop jam.
Yep. Since we've been talking so much about this track, we might as well go right into it. Joe Claire featuring Alaska.
Joe, let me tell you something. So, Chong sent me that beat, and I was like, my first thought was like, this is too much like the first album. I don't know, but I liked it, and I was like, let's see if there's a place for this somewhere. And I was like, I think it might be too slow, or it's like a little too much a vibe that's not going to fit. And then same thing. So I had it. I let Castro hear it. He picked Marathon Man. And then I did my part to it where I was like, all right, if I get on this, I'm going to rap faster on this one, not do like a obnoxious, like fast white guy. Like I hate that shit. Just more like hop skipping on that beat, you know what I mean? Because the beat's slower. So then once I had that, I was like, we were thinking about, okay, who should we get on this? And I was like, I was like, it would be interesting to hear Alaska because he's the same way. He can go faster on slow beats or slow and fast, but he's really good at tempo. So I was like, I don't know if he's gonna like this. I was like, look, man, don't hurt my feelings. If you don't want to be on this joint, it's totally cool. Me and Alaska are very blunt with each other. Like, I don't like this. So I sent it to him, and he was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah. And I was like, yo, my only edict is you got to rap about like 70s, 80s shit. Because when you do that, you're the best rapper who ever lived. Like, that's your bag. Like, when Nas raps about like New York in the 80s and 90s, he's the greatest dude who ever walked the earth. When Alaska raps about like Three's Company or some shit, or like Regal Beagles, or like, and then like 80s Dapper Dan, all that, I'm like, yo, he's so fly. I was like, yo, you gotta do that. That's all I want. Just give me that definitive verse from you talking that shit. So, because the song is pretty loose, you know, it's not like based on Joe Claire directly. So he snapped. And same thing, like when that album came out, I thought people would be going crazy for the Blue feature, you know, whoever. And everyone was like, this is Alaska verse. Holy shit. And I was like, and some people were like, oh, is that Alaska from Hangar 18? Is that Alaska from Def Jux? Is that Adam's Fam? I was like, I've done 50 songs with Alaska. I've done 10,000 podcasts with Alaska. Yes, it's the same Alaska. What are you talking about? But it was cool that it was catching people that have just missed the last 20 Alaska projects, the last 10,000 hours of talking to me on a show. Missed him on the last Midnight Suns record. They just missed him, but somehow they caught him on this record, you know, which is awesome. So he stole the show, and I was happy to let him take the championship belt on that song. So there you go.
Yeah, it's funny when it, like, I almost didn't even, that was another one of those, like, I almost didn't send him that beat because I didn't think he'd like it, and it was kind of half finished. I had to really finish it before I sent it to him, and I was just like, I don't know, this is like too Wu-Tangy, too, like, you know, whatever. But like, you know, they killed it. And when Alaska sent his through, I was like, yeah, this is dope, you know, and I didn't think much of it. I was just like, yeah, this is dope. And when you start to actually like break down, especially those opening bars, they're all doubles. They're like, like the last two words of each line, like all rhyme. What was it like?
Like the Fugees,
the Bruce Lees,
yeah.
Just keep my shoes clean, you know what I mean? It was so technical and skilled, but it all flowed like just like, you know, masterfully, like the way it just rolled off of his tongue. Like it wasn't, you know, he really had the syllables and the breath control, like with the technical rhyme writing. So that's one of the things that I think really make that verse special. And you're right, it's all like late 80s, early 90s.
That's all I want, man.
So it's perfect New York joint. And then I love Zilla on that too. I mean, give Zilla his credit too. He had some ill lines on that, like stuff that nobody says. And this is one of the reasons why I love Zilla is people rapping about stuff that nobody says. Like I'm looking like Michael Caine in 73, cufflinks silver, the flow's unfiltered.
Yeah. My favorite line is the Rushmore. What are with the Perch Falcon?
Yeah, like
it's been art since my first album.
Crazy
Rushmore,
stuff, you know what I mean? He's saying crazy ass shit on there, man. I love it. That's one of the things I don't like. Fucking stereotypical like words and subject matter. Like I find Zilla, that's one of his strengths is doing some other shit, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's out there, and I think we both have a lot of liked just different stuff, reading old books, watching old movies, you know what I mean? Like, and his said this before, but his range of subject matter, like he's got such a depth to like what he can pull from not only from his age, but just from reading so much, watching old films, like, you know, it all adds up. You know what I mean? It's a lot of references like by other people's heads, but I love what your references. It's awesome.
Yeah. And then we get to the next track, Men Never Take Advice. Now, when I first heard this, I thought of two TV shows from the 70s, MASH and The Incredible Hulk.
Wow.
Because when you listen to those intros, it has that same type of dramatic feel to it.
It does.
It's funny because I always thought it was like a Killa Army type beat, and I was calling it my the God Fahim beat. And somebody else said it was MASH, but the thing is, Killa Army sampled MASH, so it all makes sense. You know what I mean? It definitely has that Killa Army MASH vibe for sure.
Yeah. Wow, good call. Yeah, as soon as I heard that, that was like one of the first. I think it was the first song we did, and I heard that beat. I was like, "Oh man, this is unbelievable." And I don't know how it happened. It just brought me back to just my first rap partner. I used to go to pool halls with him. I was talking about going to 69th Street after hours. That was him, and just like a complicated relationship we had. And it's one of the things where it's like you look back, it's like, oh man, that fizzled out, like because that person's an asshole, and you're like, well, actually, I was an asshole too, bro. Like I I wasn't the best friend, you know. So that record, I just kind of had that word, I had that phrase written down: men never take advice. And then I did the verse and the hook, and then I sent this Def C because I was like, I think he would sound good on this, like his voice, his pocket. He's really, really good at being vulnerable, and he and I have been really cool for like 10 years. So I was just like, hey, what do you think? And he, same thing, he turned it around really quick, and it was cool. It was like, and the same thing, like for us to make that the first song for this record, I was like, okay, we're definitely going somewhere different, because the first album had nothing like that.
Yeah, that's one of those personal joints for sure. I felt it. You know, I mean, it's one of those relatable ones where we've all had those friendships that have just crumbled because of whatever, just being young and stupid and hard-headed, and you change and you learn and shit, and you move on. And I love the chorus, the men never take advice saying. It just like, it's so real, because I think about all the times when I'd be giving people advice and they don't listen. And I was thinking to myself, like, if I really take advice, like, you know what I mean? Like, usually people have to learn the hard way. Like, it's almost always is, you know what I mean? You can give advice. Sometimes people stump some game up, but like a lot of times you have to do it and learn the hard way. So that's a real ass song. Def C definitely fit that perfectly.
Yeah, he was great.
Remember when I sent it to Rodata for mixing and mastering, I was like, damn, this Def C guy is pretty dope. Like, he killed it on there.
Hell yeah.
Rodata usually doesn't say shit, but like, he's me on that.
Yeah, the two things: younger me wouldn't vibe with this track, and younger me wouldn't probably understand this album as much as I do now.
Same. I wouldn't like this shit if I was like 21.
Yeah, this is for us. We're 40. We're in our 40s, both of us.
Right,
so I think we're speaking from that perspective. You know, it's not to say that young people can't appreciate it, but I think, the more you've been through in life, and the more you're going to understand the album. And it's funny because there's been a lot of people wanting more mature subject matter in hip hop. And there's been this issue where like Drake dropped an album and people are like, why are you making songs for like 20-year-olds or for like teenagers? And it's like, well, that's kind of his audience. He makes party songs, and those are the people at the parties. So it makes sense for him.
Right.
But for guys like us, we got to speak to what we feel and who our target audience is, which is people in our age group. Right. And even seeing like Andre 3000 saying like, I don't know what to rap about because I'm 48 or something like that. And it's like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like,
there's so much to rap about, man.
There's so much more to rap about when you get older, because you have, like I said, you have that
experience,
all that experience to pull from, all that knowledge. So many stories you can think back to, and that's a perfect example. Zilla pulling that like early 20s, late teens, whatever that story is from, and it's just like, that's part of making a mature rap album, and like, I'm not afraid to like make mature music. Like, who are we putting on a show for? Like, old people with money like are gonna buy the albums, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, young kids are gonna stream shit, you know what I mean? So it's like,
we
know our audience, and we're just being true to ourselves, and those are the stories that resonate with us, because this is the age we are now, you know what I mean? So that's what it is.
Before we talk about Blame Yourself, when I say age is my alarm clock, when did you was that something that you started thinking of before you actually wrote that out?
I think I read that somewhere in a book, and I was like, oh hell yeah. I was like, if the day, if I can sleep till like 8:30 in the morning, I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, I did
Yep.
that. Wow. Like I now feel like, oh my God, the day is halfway over. Like I'll feel mad guilty. I'm like, oh shit, it's about to be 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll feel very weird. So yeah, I never needed to set ever. Never needed to set an alarm. That's over. And you see like why old people wake up early as shit and then
Mhm.
take wild naps when they're
Yep.
retired. Because like after you're older, you have a job, kids, a dog, puppy, whatever. You got to wake up early to get shit done. Like it's just, unless
Mhm.
you're like a bartender or you live, a vampire life or work third shift, it's like you just can't do it. So even when I'm on like vacation, I may sleep till like 8:15 in the morning. That's it. I'm up. So that's why I love Castro. Shouts to Castro, because Castro, no matter what's going on in the world, Castro will wake up at 4:30 in the morning. He'll watch his YouTubes. He'll watch his NBA recaps. He'll smoke his weed, walk his dogs, and like start making the rounds. He'll start calling people 7 o'clock in the morning. Yo, did you see the Knicks game? You see the Heat game? So he's all like Castro's always been on that wave. Like loves waking up early, loves it. So I finally caught him the last few years.
It's that internal clock too.
Yeah.
Like, if you're on a schedule, you're up no matter what. You don't need that alarm
Yeah.
clock. I feel
No.
that, man.
Nah, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What are we on now? We are we moving on to Blame Yourself?
Blame yourself, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, Blame Yourself is probably my favorite song. It's like one of the only there's like only 3 solo songs on the record, but it's my favorite just because it's a lot of like free writing on that song. Like it's not heavy. Like like the title is, and parts of the chorus are, but it's more of those like I'm kind of tricking you. Like I'm calling it Blame Yourself, but the beat's like really pretty and kind of melancholy. And then I'm kind of like singing a little bit, and I'm just like saying like, dumb shit. Like, the rap Carrie Ellis, Periwinkle, Perry Ellis. Man, like what does that mean? Nothing. Just sounded ill one day. I was like, I was like, what rhymes with Carrie Ellis? I was like, oh, Perry Ellis. All right, cool. So I just put that in there. Like it's just more of like a fun exercise for me to take a bunch of like little notes and ideas and then put them all together in a song. And then, but if the hook is really catchy and the beat is really breezy and chill, you can just kind of get away with shit in the middle. You know what I mean? It's like a little trick to like I'll put it like this. When I set out to make an album, I think of like, how do I steal a song? Like, how do I get easy win songs here? You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be the heavier shit, like Men Never Take Advice and all that, that are gonna happen. But I'm like, how do I like steal 2-3 songs? It's like the same way in baseball. Like Greg Maddux always talk about, like, how do I steal like an extra 3 or 4 strikes? How do I do that? So for me, it's like a song like Blame Yourself is like I stole that record. I'm like, all right, if I just had like a banging hook, I could just really just put anything in here. It's not gonna matter. I'm just gonna have a good time with it. So that was the thinking behind like the writing. And then that beat was just it was just like so cool. And I was like, oh shit, this can go a lot of different ways. And yeah, it's just something for me I enjoy a lot. So that's my number one fave.
Yeah, I could. It almost reminds me of a Ghostface joint because like Ghostface would do those kind of bars that didn't make no sense, but they were so fly wordplay.
Yeah,
You did that shit too, like just the super fly wordplay, and then you might have like a hook about the girls or whatever, like
right.
because you had like the breakup hook, but then you also had the Blame Yourself hook. So it was definitely like it was all over the place, but it's definitely a lot of real shit in there. Like that Blame Yourself shit. That's another fucking grown man theme. Right?
Yeah, like that's the thing, man. I think I got that from I was reading Ryan Holiday. It may have been like the Ego is the Enemy book
I've read
from
that
the
one.
Daily Stoic, and I just love like when I opened a page and saw, I just like how it looked too, and I was like, yo, this is shit me and Alaska talk about all day. We just see like moping ass complaining motherfuckers online that are complete failures, that are broke as shit, that are like dirtball dads that failed as rappers, and like they want to give you a life advice. They'll be like, yeah, don't listen to the haters, and like you got to watch people you bring around you and all. Like they're always like blaming like capitalism, the streaming, Biden, Trump, inflation. Like they go for everything there is rather than like I fuck my life up. You know what I mean? Like it's actually me. I'm the one that did it. I took out a bad car payment. I fucked over employers. I fucked over my friends. I blew it when my 20 like, dude. If you know, like the saying, like if you deal with everyone, if everyone you deal with is an asshole all day, you're an ass. It's actually you're the asshole. You know what I mean? So that's the genesis.
Real, this was a keep it real album in a sense of like talking about real life shit, real grown man shit.
Bum ass dudes, man. Sick of them. My rant. I'm real quick. When I see these people that do that, I'm like, if you actually are doing a lot of shit, you ain't got time to sit there and like post those inspirational / like watch your back memes about like, oh, they say your friends are. I'm like, do you have a job? Like, what do you do all day except repost bullshit about drama and loyalty and all this crap? I'm like, yo, man, fucking learn how to code. I don't do something, man. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Christ. Get a certificate. Get your associate's degree. Do something, man. Shut up. Fucking losers. Sorry, man. I'm getting very, very, very angry.
Yeah. The way you explain that is amazing because the next track, ignore the red flags.
Yeah.
It seems like that is perfect the way y'all sequence that right there.
Oh man. Thanks, dude. That doesn't beat, man. When Chong sent that beat, I was like, oh, okay. We can go here with this record. All right. We can do like some fly jazzy shit, just like some straight up hip hop shit. And it's like I think for he and I, we like I know Chong's discography pretty well. We haven't veered into like the hip hop catnip tropes. You know what I mean? We've like stayed away from that. And I feel like on this album, we were like, fuck it, we're taking it. Like, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be on there. So, like, New Boss has those little moments where we sample Tribe Called Quest. And then on Ignore the Red Flags, I like take a stab at the J Live shit, like this Anna. And then, and then Chong cutting up the Far Side, which you never hear. Like, that's like the most hip hop shit ever. So, I feel like we kind of like punched our little tickets. You know what I mean? We've reached that stage we can start like using those favors. Like, yo, this is gonna be like some straight up rapping ass hip hop shit. Like, I never even say the words hip hop and music. I never say it. But like this album, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finally do that stuff. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen now. You know what I mean? So that's my thing. And shouts to Prem. He came through. Prem sounds handsome on that shit, doesn't he? He's like some guys have it all. He's fucking dude's unbelievable rapper, bartender, outstanding dude.
It
and
sounds like he's leaning against the bar,
yes,
either as the customer or as the bartender while he's rapping. That's what, and he's spitting game like to like either a beautiful female bartender or to a patron. That's like, you know what I mean? That's what it sounds like. He's running game while bartending kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's perfect. That beat just it suited him perfectly. He's got the deep voice. He's definitely got like there's a couple bars at the end that I just love. I'm trying to remember what they were, but you say
like,
I treat red flags like checkpoints, spots to fuel up while I take sips of my julep.
Yeah,
thought about the two of us. That shit was just so fly. I love the way he ended that shit. That shit was fly.
And I can tell you, I've written songs in the room with Prem. Like he writes everything like that fast. Like he sits down with a pen and paper and writes that all down like on the spot, quick. But it's all writing. Like that's how he does it. And he doesn't follow. And because he writes it down, he doesn't follow like, oh, here's 16. I count it on a line. There's 2 bars, 4 bars. He just like writes on a paper, and then when he's done, he's like, that's the verse. So you can't really count any verse he does. There won't be like, oh, that's 16, that's 12, that's 8. It may be 11, it may be 14, it may be 19, it may be 23 bars. Like prime numbers and shit. He can do that, But he's so good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think when I was sequencing it and doing the scratches, because he also has like a talking intro on it that I didn't want to cut off. I remember it being difficult to arrange and sequence that song.
Oh yeah.
And I
He
think
does.
that's
You know,
why,
he
I think
doesn't.
that's why I had to do the cuts, because like he wasn't coming right off of your chorus. So I'm like,
Right.
I can fucking do something like in between. And so that's how the scratches came about. And
Yeah,
I'm glad that it worked out, because the scratches tied the track together. So
yeah, he does producers no favors. Him and Billy Woods, you won't. It's never
true, that is
easy.
true.
Never. That's why they're so dope.
And that was when we did the song with Billy Woods. It was like that too. I don't think he came in like on the one or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it was like, I think I had to put him as the first on that track, because like
The reference song, yeah.
he wouldn't have come in on the one after the chorus, right?
No.
So like, we got to let him start this one.
Yep. Shouts to Woods. Shouts to Woods.
Now, Chong, on this track, every time I hear the sax, I'm expecting, the tempo and a transition to slow down. So I don't know how you did that, but that sax and the tempo of the song meshed in a way that I wasn't expecting.
That beat, low key, was probably the most complex on the whole album. You wouldn't think it, but it was one of those ones where I found this really slow jazz record, and it was just, I think, a jazz trio or a quartet, very sparse, so it was easy to chop. And I probably chopped like 30 different pieces, a little bit of piano, a little bit of bass, a little bit of horn, and I just started puzzling it together. And I got the first loop that was kind of like piano, and it was puzzled together, and then the next one with the horn, and I even did the little like delay, the 90s delay on the horn thing too, like. So it was flavor, man. Like, it just came together. It was one of those magic, when you're puzzling beats together, like sometimes the shit just fits. And that's one of those ones where, like, good luck finding what I sampled. It's like so many different little pieces. I don't think I used all 30 of the pieces, but it's a lot of little pieces pieced together. So I don't think anyone's going to be able to recreate that beat.
That shit's banging.
Yeah, I love that one. That was a dope beat.
Yeah, it was dope. Yeah.
That was my jazz bag. I want to do more beats like that, because I did on the Curious album with the Homeboy Sandman. That was kind of similar. That one wasn't as chopped up, but it had the similar like vibe, and I love that jazz vibe. So I want to do more beats like that. It's just they don't always turn out that great. Sometimes I just get like stumped on some like, this sounds like shit. You know what I mean? So I'm much better with the soul samples than the jazz samples, but I want to get more into the jazz.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. I never stay in touch with Rich Jones. Is this a true story, Zilla?
Yeah, I was saying before, and then like it's the truest, because it's just when you do a song like I Never Stay in Touch, and then we have fun with it, like doing some slick Rick shit, and then Rich comes on, like Rich comes on making it seem like a really serious thing, which it is, but I'm just being ridiculous on the chorus and the verse. Same thing. I just said to Chong, I was like, yo, we gotta get Rich on this. Like Rich is so dope, and he's just like, if you put Rich on a record, he's gonna take it seriously, but he's also just gonna, again, like, enhance the listenability of it. It could have just been me on there, it'd have been cool, but having Rich, to me, kind of like, it's like another song when he comes in where he's like, think about it when on my mind, and you've been on my mind. Like he sounds like Johnny Mathis or like Nat King Cole or some shit on that song to me. Like, I think it's so fire. And so the funny thing with Rich is, like, Rich is the most like stay in touch dude I know. Like, Rich called me today. Like, Rich will give you like a weekly check-in call. He'll text you. He'll send you follow-up emails. Like, Rich, same thing. He's like very focused. He's very professional. He's an all-around swell guy. He's like a great attitude. He's like Andrew. Like, he's like the Midwest, like taller, more sandwich eating Andrew. Shouts to Rich. So it was awesome to have him on the song, and to dedicate time to just not fucking with people. I don't know, like, there's nothing else to say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not like a rap homie, it's really hard for me to maintain friendships. You know what I mean? It's just because, like, I just think about rap all day. I'm fucking making rap, doing a podcast about rap. It's hard just to be like, have a friend who's like, I don't like rap at all, but we've known each other since 1993. Like, what's up? It's tricky. Yeah, I haven't mastered that yet.
Yeah, man. It's I just went and hooked up with some of my homies that fucking absolutely loved rap. I'm sure they still do, but it's not like an everyday part of their life where they're thinking about it and up on everything. You know what I mean? They probably still listen to it like it's probably still their main genre, but they got other stuff going on like, oh, ski trips and fucking,
Right.
oh, let's go fucking mountain biking and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard because, they're your homies, but you only see them once in a while. And then it's like, they don't. I mean, they might listen to your record and like it, and then that's it. You know,
Nah, they don't. That's the thing, they don't listen to you. They'll like bring up like shit from like 03. They'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
that was the best. Remember that? I'm like, what?
That's whenever you're the closest with someone, that's what they think your best stuff is. And when I was doing the mixtape run for so long, I knew that because I had lots of different friends at different points, and they all liked the mixtape that I did when I was close friends with them. So
Sure.
just memories, the nostalgia of it for sure.
Right.
But yeah, that track's perfect. And Rich Jones, he does his voice and his temperament, the whole thing. Stuff for Rich. We actually got T-shirts coming. I never stay in touch T-shirts.
Correct.
Ah,
They're real flat. They're coming soon.
nice.
Actually, telling Rich about them. I'm going to send him one. But yeah,
He's the best. Rich rules.
I'm glad that one got made because I really like that beat, but like it's the kind of one that got passed on a lot because it's such a it's soft, it's a very soft, slow beat, and I like what Zilla did with it. Like I didn't see that coming, and he made it fun. He made that song fun. So dope track.
Yes, indeed. The next track we already spoke about, the Terrible Twos. So
Yep.
We're gonna go into the last track, which again feels like the 70s. At the end of a movie, you're on a high note, but it still has that melodic feel to it. Like it's a positive ending, but it still has that dramatic melodic feel to it.
Yeah. Yeah, when Chong sent that beat, I was like, "Oh, this is the best beat! Like you did it! Like this is the best beat. We have it. It's on this album. It's mine." And I was like, "This." I remember as soon as I heard, I'm like, "This ends the record. I don't care what happens in between. Like this caps it all off because it's like tender and really really soulful, and there's parts where it's like a little melancholy, but it's like, all right, I still feel good when this is done. You know what I mean? So that song, same thing. I just was like, all right, it's the end of the record. There's been a ton of guests. There's a lot of different concepts and hooks and vocals coming in and out, especially coming off like Terrible Twos. And then when we got to that, I'm like, all right, the album ends is just me and Chong. You know what I mean? The album starts with just me and Chong. Album ends with me and Chong, with like, Blame Yourself kind of in the middle as like the intermission from all the guests and everybody and the musicians. So it was to me like a slam dunk closer to kind of wrap it up, and we didn't do a lot. Like I think just the way you sent me the beat is just kind of how it ended up being. We didn't have to go and do a lot more stuff. Yeah, it doesn't. You just sent it to me. I liked it. I rapped on it. I sent it back. That was it. And yeah, I love that shit, man. And I was just like, yo, same thing. I think I did that like really quick, and that's like an early huge favorite for people, which is interesting because most people don't like most people don't get that far in a record to have the last song as a favorite. It's always like the first 3 or 4 songs, but that's a big time favorite record. So shouts to Chong for making that beat and giving it to me.
You're welcome, man. That was like the easiest beat on the album to make. So, but I think it has become my favorite too. Like there was like 4 tracks that were my favorites. I think it's narrowed down to that one being my very favorite. It's just a special track. Zilla just finds that pocket, sounds perfect on it. Yeah, man, it's such a soulful. It's multiple loops from a soul song, but it's dope. I was telling Zilla like I found that record when I was in Paris, and it was just because I hiked up this hill in Paris to this like shitty record store, and I was like, I walked all the way here. I'm not fucking leaving here without something. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck it. Like this 45, this Soul 45. Like they didn't have listening stations, so I asked the owner to just play it, and I was like, yeah, that's dope. I'm gonna take this and get the fuck out of here.
Hell yeah.
And, 2018, I made that beat, so it's been sitting in the cut for a minute. Like, and I don't know if I think I sent it to some people, but I don't think I maybe I might not even have sent it to anybody before. So I'm glad that they unearthed that out of the vault for Zilla, because that was part of that big 50 pack that I sent him. That New Boss was in.
Yeah.
So that one was beautiful, man. I want to do some more of that fucking like soul loops with Zilla, because I think on Vegas Vic, when he did the Vegas Vic title track, that kind of like made me go, oh, Zilla can kill these soul drumless soul joints. Like he can kill these. You know what I mean? Like I was underestimating him. I didn't know he had that in his bag. You know what I mean? So that's definitely become a favorite. I love the Method Man reference too. Like the fucking you don't know me and you don't know my style.
Yeah. Name on the marquee, hand holds a stout. I try to date the barkeep who never had a smile. Yeah, that song was just real cool, man. I start off with that. I make fun of Common all the time on our podcast, but I was like, I had to tick it off with that comment. I was like, real rapper quotes. I told, got some shit on my mind, but this is shit that I wrote. And I was like, all my heroes did dope, which is a nod to Andre 3 Stack. So that's all in there. And I was like, so subtle, like Oh Cruddle, Star Child. No one fucks with the OC Star Child album, bro. I fuck with that one. So that's for the OC diehards.
I love that album. Yeah.
I love OC. Yeah. I know the album, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
It was like some weird like overseas shit, but it's got that everyday joint with Pharaoh, which is like one of the best songs he's ever done. OC, and I was so subtle, like Oh Cruddle, Star Child, high bass, low treble, like Takao. You don't know me and you don't know my style. Yeah, that it all just like when you hear those beats, it's like everything is easy to deal with. You know what I mean? Like it's just simple. And that's the best part when you get those beats that just make you rap right away. Like that's like me and Small Pro. We haven't made a record in like 3-4 years, but if we start, Small Pro always has beats that just make me want to rap. You know what I mean? When me and Andrew did our record, Don't Wait for Me to Leave, he sent me 10 beats. I was like, I'm rapping on all 10. That's it. And I rapped on all of them. Like it was that simple. Even with Griff, like Griff sent me like for Stack and Chips, he sent me like 70 beats. And he called it like the anxiety pack because he knows like that's like way too many beats. I get overwhelmed. But the ones that jumped out, I just rapped on them right away. So like when I heard the Pool Hole joint, I was like, oh yeah, like today, this is happening. This is getting dealt with right now. Versus like a song like Grown Men, like Men Never Take Advice. I love that beat. It just took a while to figure out what was gonna go on it. You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. I have to think about like what's going to happen on this beat. Like what's the story in the beat? What's it making me contemplate or think of or pull old stories out or like something that just happened to me, 5 weeks ago or something. So it's like you kind of have to wait for the beat to reveal shit to you. But the flip side is at the Pool Hole comes on, it's like, yep, this is just going to spill out. Like it just comes flying. Same thing with Old Money 82. At the beginning of the record. So like those two beats, those like towards the end of the album. And like Alaska always says, like you make the best shit when the album's wrapping up. Because like you're like more relaxed, you got a lot of work already done. Like all the stressful shit and the personal songs and like that's all handled. So now you could just be like, just be creative, just like have fun. Like we already have 10 songs, they're finished. Okay. Oh, I like this. Okay, just put it on, whatever. And like that always happens to be like the songs people like the most are usually the songs you make at the very end because you're not worried about shit. And he's right. So that's kind of the overall the long ass answer to how to pull.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's interesting.
And that song really, it was the perfect ender because I felt like it brought everything together. The pool motif too with the imagery, pool hall song, it was almost perfect cap. Very nostalgic song too. Like it's a nostalgic album and a nostalgic song. So I mean, it felt like the perfect ender.
I agree.
Yeah.
I concur.
Perfect. Hey man, one last thing. Shout out to Paul Rentler on the Test Press cover, man. Fucking, he did the first album cover. He's a sick fucking artist, like mixed media, collage. Fucking, he does some crazy stuff. Does a lot of comic book covers. And one of the things I was telling Zilla is Zilla on the first song on Old Money 82, he says, "I do it Gerard's way," and that's like a comic book writer from My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, Doom Patrol.
And he uses Paul Rentler for his variant covers all the time. Like that's his go-to variant cover guy. So it was just like,
okay.
It was like, oh shit, that just like it was meant to be. So
yo, I just found out Gerard Way is the lead singer from like Panic at the Disco or some shit.
No, I just said My Chemical Romance.
Oh, My Chemical Romance. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that dude's incredible. Oh, and he did Umbrella Academy. Yeah, he did Umbrella Academy.
Patrol, like he does tons of those indie dark horse.
Yeah.
And lots of dark stuff for DC. So
yeah, he's dope. That's to him.
That's fire.
All right. Anything else? What do we got? We gonna wrap it up or what?
I was gonna say, you're talking about the physicals, but what made you decide on a skate deck for this project?
The skate deck?
What?
Yes, look at that.
This skate deck? Is that what you're talking about? This one? I got one, motherfucker.
This was like we wanted to do something that we hadn't seen anybody else like in the indie hip hop game do, and I think also partially shout outs to Andrew because Andrew's always skateboarding, and on the cover of the album that Zilla did with him, he was skateboarding, and it just brought me back to the old days of hip hop and skateboarding just going hand in hand because I remember like I was never a skater, but I was down with skaters, and I always felt that connection of like, even though I didn't like hang out tons with them, like it was like they went together. I remember like back in like 2003 or something, me and my homies they had a rap album release party, and we threw it at a skate park, and they flew in Tony Alva from the fucking Z Boys, the Dogtown Z Boys. He was like the host and the judge, and he even was skating like at 40 or 50 or however old he was at the time. And like I DJ'd the whole party at the skate park. It was tight, man. So it reminded me of how much skateboarding and hip hop meant together. You know what I mean? And I really feel like that Tough Guys Fill a Cemetery is such a like skate video song. Like I could see a skate video like using Tough Guys Fill a Cemetery. I hope that happens. You know what I mean? That would be ill.
Hell yeah.
That's fine. Might want to pitch that, the deck to some skaters. They might put your music in the video.
I might do that. I might have to look up because I'm out of the loop, but I might have to look up who's the local skaters out here that are killing it, and get them a deck or something, you know what I mean? See if we can get them to use the deck or use the music in a skate video or something. Be dope.
Yeah. So what was the last track made for this album? And when was that? Was that earlier this year, last year?
It was Old Money 82, and it was, I think, in like August of last year, I think. July, August, September, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe
Yes.
in June, I don't know. Felt like summer last year. And then it took a long time to get it mixed and mastered because Rodata just had a lot of life stuff going on. And then, it was one of those things where when you're dealing with somebody you trust and it's the homie and they're doing it for the homie prices, you don't want to be like a dick about it. Like, where's the fucking album? Like, is it done? Is it done? You know what I mean? And like, I just kind of chilled out about it. And I was like, this is going to be done when it's time to be done. And it's going to, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
and it turned out beautifully. I'm glad that we took our time because it was almost finished and being mixed and mastered before last summer. But Zilla didn't like the mix on the first, like I think Roe mixed about like 8 songs roughly.
Mhm.
And Zilla wasn't feeling the mixes because he wanted more like effects on the vocals, like more delay, a little bit more reverb
Yeah.
on the verses and stuff.
Yep.
And so he got Rodata was just way too busy for the summer, so he had to get back onto it like in the fall and the winter. And then I think on Christmas break he just fucking like he just finished it all on Christmas break, and then put in the order for all the physicals, and then we knew like we didn't want to fucking like force a pre-order in like December or January or anything. We're like, let's fucking step back a minute and let the physicals come in and drop this fucking like March. So
Hell
so
yeah. Yeah, man, we did it.
Dope. Yeah, everything turned out great, and two creative minds. You know, not just with the physicals, but everything that came to be with the album turned out great. And I love being able to speak with you track by track to how everything was formulated, and now everyone that has been tuning in or hasn't been tuning in knows more about the album.
Hell yeah, it's the best, man. It's fun to really go heavy on the creative process. Like I could talk about that forever. Just the little pieces and the things that came up and the unexpected turns, and and that's the crazy shit. It's like we were talking, as you're talking track by track, that's just like one half of the record is picking out the beats, writing the songs, getting the features, adding scratches and all that, adding musicians. And then the whole second part of the record is mixing and mastering, artwork, packaging. And then the next part, which isn't even ahead, is a third, is like, here we are, still talking about the record, still pushing it, having people discuss it, email blasts, like it. And I think that's the thing we were talking about in the beginning, is the people that, again, I wish I could be like this. I can't. The people that could just crank records out and always have a lot of work, like that's awesome. That's also just, again, like 1/3 of the pie is like just to make the songs and crank them out. So like but again, some people love that. Their audience loves it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think for this record and us taking time after the first one from 2020, you need that time for it to marinate and figure out, like, again, like the mixing. Okay, if Road Data is jammed up, he did an amazing job last time. We're on his schedule. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, it'll take a while for the skate decks come in, like all this stuff. And so I just want people to get it. Like that's all baked in, it's not like the songs are going to be the songs forever, which is awesome. But the physicals are going to last forever too and carry weight. And that needs as much time. So like Chong is really impeccable again at handling the production, the post-production, the rollout, the packaging, the physicals, the art direction. Like that's a lot of fucking work. Like that's a lot of stuff. It really is. You know what I mean? And so even on my end now, like me putting out more records on my label, like I don't have as much time to write because I'm working with artists. Like, oh, this one artist needs a lot of coaching. This artist doesn't need shit. They just want to be like, here's the thing, put it out. Another artist is like, can you, craft this record with me? Another, oh, what are your thoughts on this mix? Oh, who should we get? Oh, I'm coming to town. Oh, I'm booking a tour. Like, there's all these pieces that move, that are happening. And for me and Chong to have our own labels, but then have to shut that off to just be creative, and then shut that off and go into, today's mail day, today's packaging day, today is press day. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of shit. And so it's great when people want to digest the record more or find out more. Some people just want to press play, and that's dope. You know what I mean? Like 99% people just want to rock with the shit and have a good time with it, and play for their friends and buy it, which I like. But shouts to everybody. Shouts to you, Ian, for having us on again, and everybody in the chat and the stream, really wanting to hear this nerdy ass shit, because this is a lot. There's a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But I'm going deeper into it. If you're rocking with us, this is all the unglamorous stuff, but we enjoy it. If we didn't like this shit, we wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like I would just be watching Criterion like just all the time. I wouldn't be stressing about any of this shit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't care. It'd be a lot easier of a lifetime. It's just watch TV and watch sports.
Yeah. Planning and execution is key.
Yeah,
Exactly.
man. Props to Zilla, props to you, Ian, man. Appreciate you guys. Like anybody that's really taken the time to listen to the album, buy the album. Because it took, like Zilla said, like this took a lot of creative energy out of me. Like wasn't working on really, like I was running my label, but I wasn't working on really any other albums. I was like, this is my singular focus.
Right.
And that's why I think the album came out so good, is because like we put in the time, the effort, the creative thought, the love
Yeah.
to the album, you know what I mean? And you hear people praising it, and it's because it took a lot of work. This wasn't a microwave album. We didn't fucking slap this together. It was fucking thought out. It was fucking crafted with love, you know what I mean? So
Hell yeah.
I appreciate anybody who can understand that, because, you know, like for artists that are lesser known like ourselves, like there's a lot of praise on this record right now, and a lot of people are hyping it up, and we appreciate that. And it's just one of those things where it can be hard for like the indie artists to get that recognition. No matter how dope your album is, a lot of it comes down to popularity. So we appreciate people fucking with us, even though we're not Alchemist, we're not West Side Gun, we're not Rock Marciano, but people are fucking hearing our shit and being like, with an open mind, being like, damn, this is a fucking good record, you know what I mean? Like, we don't care if these guys aren't fucking brand names, household names, like these guys are fucking killing it, you know what I mean? So like, we appreciate those listeners that fucking give us a chance, you know what I mean? We know we made a great record, you know. So shout out to people that can recognize that shit.
Yeah. And I love the fact that this is strictly indie, and look at what you have accomplished.
Hell yeah.
From the creative parts to all the logistics going on with everything, it can be done. You know, anybody that's watching or will be watching in the future, it can be done.
Yeah. Just don't be a lazy sack of shit. You know what I mean? That's all.
I mean, if you told me like this is where we were at in 2024, like when I first had Zilla just do like a random verse on a Star Wars mixtape, I would not have believed you. You know what I mean? It's really like organically come about, just like unexpected, but I'm glad it happened, man. Like I love both the albums we did, and I hope we get to do another one, because you know, you you never know when it's going to be the last album, like either like because of whatever reasons, health, fucking life shit, fucking finances, anything, you know what I mean? Like shit. So man, I don't take this shit for granted, and I'm happy that we got this album out. There was like certain times where I was waiting for this album to come out, and it was just killing me. But you know, I was listening to it and I was like enjoying it. Like this is my album, you know, when you haven't released it yet, and it's like it's your own thing. It's only you and me and Zilla really, and like Rodata, but you know what I mean? Like nobody else got to hear it, so it's been a long time coming. So it feels great to just be like, all right, everyone else can enjoy this shit now. So appreciate people like you, Ian, that take the time, that love the album, and want to talk to artists in depth about it. So we appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Definitely appreciate that. Yeah. And my last question, and being that we are comic book fans, I got to ask you your opinion of X-Men 97.
Oh, it's going to win the Emmy for best animated show, like without a doubt. It's so good. It's like shockingly good. You know what I mean? Because Marvel really hasn't invested heavily in animation for anything. Like the what if was really cool, but it wasn't like, yo, we're really trying to kill this shit. Like DC has been whooping their ass in animation for 30 years. It's not even a contest. So this one is just, you know, it's great because it gives you the classic X-Men, like Chris Claremont stuff, like the Shire and all that, and then like the 90s shit with Gambit and Jubilee and all them. But what I like about it most is like Wolverine hasn't been in this shit. He's barely involved, which is wonderful. And I love Wolverine like everyone else, but it's like, yo, there's so many. That's why the movies, you know, have their moments, but like they just always leaned into Wolverine because again, he's the coolest one, he's most popular. But yo, like Storm's dope, dude. Forge is fucking awesome. Cyclops. I'm like I can't do it right now, but I got my old '90s X-Men toys. I got my Forge, Cable, and Cyclops right behind me on my shelf. I still
Nice.
have that shit. But yeah, I love it, man. And I'm reading all the books now for the Fall of X and the Rise of House of X.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Oof.
Dead X-Men and all that shit. It's the best.
Some great writing. Yeah.
I agree, man. I'm loving the show. It's funny. It made me go back and start watching the old ones from the '90s, and they're staying true to it. Where it's kind of like all over the place. Like every episode, there's like new villains and new characters. Like it's such a fast rotation of that shit. But with this new shit, I feel like they've really introduced some like adult themes because they know this isn't for kids. This is for the adults. So a lot like our album, it's for adults. You know what I mean? So. I loved it, like that whole episode, that 5th episode that everyone's raving about, like the love triangle between Gambit and Rogue and Magneto.
That was nasty.
It was like, it was so real, but it was just like, it was heartfelt too. You felt it because Gambit loves her or whatever, and she loves Gambit too. But it was like,
she's like, I got needs, Rebby.
Exactly.
That was crazy.
So real. Man.
That was crazy.
And like, I love how they gave Gambit like such a fucking cool role, because I always liked him as a character back in the '90s. Like,
he was cool.
You know what I mean? But like to give him like that significant like scene where he fucking risked his life to save everybody and just to be the hero, that was so ill.
That was so dope.
And I even like the new episode where like they brought back Charles Xavier, and at a certain point he's like, "Oh, hold on, wait a minute, let me flex on these fools." Takes off his helmet and then just like brings them all to the astral plane. It's like, us is in session, and they're all like, "What is going on?"
It's so hard.
Hilarious. Oh
it's
man,
so good, man.
Great, man. It's great that they're doing that. I'm excited to see where this leads them. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great, man. Chong Wizard, Zilla Rocca.
Yep.
Midnight Suns.
We did it.
He has no owners. Definitely go check it out. Support it. It's on Chong Wizard's Bandcamp with some great merch.
Best merch in the fucking world. Yeah. If you don't buy it, you're a loser, scumbag.
Money has no owners. Just
don't be a
loafers.
Don't be a low rent freeloading piece of shit. There you go. Yes, Crocs with the proper support. Yes, it's important. I was wearing my pair earlier. Yeah, if you fuck with Crocs, you buy this record. Okay, that's important. You fuck with New Balances, not because they're cool, but because they fit your feet very well and they don't cause pains. This album's for you. Okay, so go buy it. Stream it, share it. We dropped the same day as Marciology, and people are still buying our record, so that's cool. So shouts to everybody still grabbing it, the same day as the great Rock Marcy. But we're here, we're having fun. Check out Co-op Culture Podcast. We got so many shows on there. Me and Chong are gonna do an episode dedicated to Crew, the Dirty 30.
Oh,
we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Oh man,
cat's out the bag.
There you go.
Lucky, man, because we had done a Call-Out Culture podcast deep dive on this album that was very similar to this, and Zilla said that it didn't save or didn't record, and so it's the lost episode. So now you got the exclusive. You got the dive breakdown podcast. You're number one right now. So
that's why Baroon came through, because Baroon's on the Call-Out Culture Discord, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, I was looking forward to the liner notes on the album." I'm like, "It's gone, bro. It's out of here." And I was like, but we're going to be on HHDG Media Thursday or Friday at 9 p.m. Come through. And there he was. There he is.
He was, yeah.
Shouts to Baroon.
Yeah,
we're still going to get it.
Shout out to everybody that tuned in.
Definitely. Appreciate everyone.
.com intelligence out here.
Yeah. Before we go, also let everyone know where they can reach you and also support.
Wrong Wizard, man. I'm everywhere. Like the name is one of a kind. It's not going to be mistaken for anybody else. Bandcamp, Instagram, Twitter. Check for me. ChongWizardRecords.com coming soon. I've been putting it off because it's a fucking hassle making your own website, but it's coming soon.
I was told differently by Squarespace. I was told it's very simple to do. I don't know if that's true. I don't have a website either. At my name is also one of a kind, Zilla Rocca, 2 L's, 2 C's. It's not Roca, it's not Roche, you asshole. It's Rocca, okay? $3pistol.com. That's my label. You can fuck with my records, other artists I like, and put out their stuff as well. And then again, Call Out Culture Podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify and Deezer and all these other fucking, I don't know. There's podcast places I don't even know people listen. I don't know. But shouts to everybody on those spots. And then you can fuck with us on Patreon, patreon.com/Call Out Culture Podcast. And for as little as $5 a month, you could feed a child in need of meat. No, for $5 a month, you could sponsor the show and get access to our Discord. And we do, video only pods on Patreon and brackets every month. So we just did one for on Patreon only called Best Oh Shit Moments in Rap, like when you first thought someone was the best, like like Cannabis on Beast from the East, or Method Man on the song METHOD Man. And then the next one we're doing is the Field of 32 Style Wars from the movie Style Wars. So who's the best character in Style Wars? Maybe Scheme. Yeah, it might be Cap, it might be Scheme, it might, Dez. So those are exclusive episodes you only get on the Patreon, and then you get video there as well, and all the episodes early, and then depending on your tier, you get discounts on Bandcamp. How you like that? So every tier you get more shit. But anyway, that's a lot of stuff to promote, and it's late at night, so I appreciate everybody. And again, you can find our record everywhere in the world, physicals, streaming, all that shit. Shouts to Chong Wizard Records forever for paying for all this stuff. I didn't pay for this record. I paid for a lot of shit in my life. I didn't pay for anything. So shouts to Chong for investing in the art. Shouts
to do it, man. Had to do it.
We did it.
We did it.
Yeah, we did. Yes, indeed. Thank you once again.
Yep.
And on behalf of HHDG Media, we're going to say peace.
Peace.